So you probably look confident, but deep down you don't really feel it. That's because real confidence isn't about how you show up. It's about how much you trust yourself when no one else is around. I know that gap very well, smiling in front of people, but silently overthinking everything that I just said. Today I'm going to show you the truth about confidence that I wish someone had told me sooner, so let's get into it. A lot of us, by society, we're taught that confidence is how you appear. You have to look a certain way, you have to be loud, be polished, and act in a certain way, when really, truly, confidence is not about all of those things. Now, granted, that's how confidence manifests a lot of times in those things, but ultimately what true confidence is about is how you feel inside of yourself, to yourself, especially when no one is around. And that is the truth, is that you can perform all you want. You can be loud all you want. You can be bold all you want. You can dress a certain way, wear a certain type of clothing, but ultimately you know deep down that you're not going to feel confident. You're going to look confident, and you might trick yourself into feeling confident, but at the end of the day, you're going to revert back into your insecurities and really feel like something is off and not feel totally at peace and in harmony with where you are in life, because you're trying to pretend to be something that you're not. This is something that maybe manifests a lot in people that are maybe more introverted like myself. Is there's a notion and a belief that we have cultivated over our lives that in order to be confident, you have to act and look in the way that most people that are extroverted look. So we equate confidence with performance, when that's not true. The performing aspect of it is actually serving to do the opposite if you're a person who's not those characteristics. So, for example, if you're not a person who is very extroverted in how they express themselves and is the life of the party and is very much good at banter and has the gift of gab, the moment you try to perform and try to be that person, you'll find yourself that you're actually going to feel less confident, because you're not going to be that good at that thing, and you're going to feel even more drained. So understanding that you need to flip that. It's not about how you appear. It's more so how you feel about yourself, how you feel about who you are as a person, how you look, how you're performing in life, and how you're ultimately how your life is. If you're happy with your life, you're going to be more confident. If you're not happy with where you are in life, you're typically not going to be more confident. The next one is that looking confident is easy, but feeling confident is harder. And we touched up on this a little bit in the previous point. And just to build on this, you can wear the clothes, you can put on the persona, you can look in the mirror in the morning, and then you can walk out and be that confident version of yourself. But if you truly don't believe that at your core, you still have to come back home that night, and you have to take it all off, and you have to sit there with yourself and feel like you just have to keep doing this all over again. So you're essentially living a life that you're pretending, essentially, right? Because you're thinking that to be confident, you have to look confident, but rather you need to do the work inside of yourself to get to a place where you are content with the life that you have, who you are as a person, and your abilities and your capabilities and what you aspire to do in the future. And you start to see that confidence will start to build over time, because you start being okay with who you are, and you start being okay with wanting to go after the things that you want to go to. If you're ready to stop performing and to start trusting yourself more and more, then subscribe to this channel. I drop new episodes every week to help you build confidence and to start to build momentum in your life. So let's get back into the episode. So the next one is that you've been performing instead of actually practicing self-trust. You rehearse what to say, how to say it, and how to come across, but you don't ever rehearse how to believe in yourself. You're always thinking about the next words coming out of your mouth and how they're going to come out and how you're going to say them, how the other person's going to feel. But you never spend that same amount of time and energy rehearsing how to believe in your abilities, how to believe in your ability to learn, how to believe in trusting yourself to actually be able to live a life that you want to live. So it's very interesting when you think about it that way. And if you flip it and you start to think, it's a lot less about what you say, how you come across, and more about how you trust and believe in your abilities to be the person that you want to be. So when you start to think about it from that angle, it becomes a little bit more palatable and a little bit better to fully accept that self-belief comes actually first and that everything else will follow. The next one is that you tie your confidence and you link your confidence into the results. The outcome is where your confidence is built. So if you win, you feel strong. But if you lose, everything else crumbles. If you ever watch athletes that win and celebrate, and then the moment they lose, their whole entire world crumbles, that's because they're putting their anchor in the outcome of winning and not necessarily into who they are as a person. Now, those athletes that when they win, they celebrate, and when they lose, obviously they're down because they truly care, but then you see them bounce back and really show that characteristic of resilience. That is the mentality. That is the mentality for life. That is the mentality to actually build true confidence, is you invest in the wins, but also you make sure that you don't invest too much in the losses, and you learn from those losses instead of letting it completely crumble your entire world. The next thing I wish someone had told me is that you confuse self-trust with perfection. You think that perfect means that you are truly good and you're truly worth it. And you equate self-trust with perfection. So meaning that you can't fully trust yourself until everything is perfect. When everything is perfect, that's when you're going to actually trust yourself to be able to do something. If you wait for the perfect time, you're never actually going to do anything in life. There's no such thing as a perfect. So it makes no sense really to actually wait for the perfect time, and you're going to waste a lot of time, you're going to waste a lot of effort, and then you're going to realize it a lot later down the road when you could have saved yourself a lot of trouble. And sometimes it's too late. Sometimes it's too late when you realize it, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So realize that there's no such thing as perfect. So chasing perfection is not the right way to do it. Rather, you need to just go. Another thing I wish I had known is that confidence isn't loud. It's quiet self-belief. It's that voice inside of yourself that tells you, I will figure it out. No matter what, I will figure it out. The louder that voice is in your head, the more confident you are. Because as long as you have that voice and that willpower to say that no matter how hard it gets, no matter how difficult it is, no matter if I don't have the skill or if I don't know how to do something, I will figure it out. You're going to go into situations and you're going to be more inclined and more likely to actually go figure it out. The only way you will go figure something out is if you believe you can figure it out. If you don't believe you can figure something out, you're just not going to do it. Think about that. How many times do you ever come across something that you think is impossible for you and you still choose to do it? It really doesn't happen most of the time. When you see something that you think is impossible, you typically just don't do it. But those that see something that's impossible and then still choose to believe that I can figure it out, that is the goal for confidence. That's the goal where you want to get to, because life is about figuring things out. Your goals are about figuring things out. Dreams are about figuring things out. So the sooner you can get to that point where I can figure it out, the quicker you're actually going to start making progress and building confidence. Another point is moving from the mindset or the shift of do they like me and moving to do I trust me? Becoming less of a Do they like me if I say this? Do they like me if I do this? Do they like me if I don't do this? And more so to, do I trust myself to do this? Do I trust myself to get in this situation and not do this, or to get in this situation and do this thing? That is more in lines of what confidence is. It's not necessarily does somebody else like you or approve of you. It's more so, do you trust yourself in order to produce the results that you think you want in a given situation? And if the answer to that is yes, then you're well on your way to actually building a foundation of good confidence. The next one is trusting yourself creates peace inside of you. When you trust yourself, you don't need to impress anyone. You just need to show up. If you trust yourself, you just show up. You just show up and you do. You show up and you do. So think of an athlete that, we'll use basketball for example. When you see an athlete shooting a three-pointer in basketball, a three-point shot, they have practiced that shot thousands of times to the point where they can almost do it in their sleep. So when they're throwing up these shots, literally they trust that every shot that they throw is going to go in. Every shot that they shoot is going to go in. They just trust that because they've done it so many times. And then you often wonder with athletes, and as a fan, it's very frustrating when you see athletes take bad shots and you wonder, why did you take that shot? You had someone in your face, or you were off balance. In the athlete's mind, they're thinking, I'm shooting the ball because I think I'm going to make it. Doesn't matter whether it's a bad shot or a good shot. I trust in myself, so I'm just going to show up and do it. You see athletes like that all the time, and a lot of them go on to become great athletes. They go on to become great athletes because they're not afraid of the situation. They trust themselves. And that is what you should aspire to do. That's what I aspire to do, is gain that level of trust in myself to where going after my goals just becomes part of the process, where I trust myself to always figure it out, even if I don't have all the information, even if I don't know every single thing about it. But now I know that I figured it out before, and I've done it enough to where I know that there's always a way. The next one is that confidence is built in private and it shows in public. It always starts with you. It always starts inside of yourself. It always starts when no one else is watching. That's where the foundation is built. It's built in the quiet. You don't build confidence out there in front of people and things of that nature. It's always that internal dialogue with yourself and your ability to trust in yourself and to be happy with who you are or who you can be in the future. And then that translates to the outside world. You can carry that over to the public and bring that out into the public. But ultimately, all the work to build those foundations of confidence really happen in the quiet, and it really happens when you're by yourself. So when you understand that the time that you spend with yourself is precious, and the self-talk that you have with yourself is also very important, and the things that you say to yourself are very important, because if you say things that build up that foundation of confidence, then it's going to carry out into the world. But if you're choosing to say things and believing things that don't build that foundation of confidence, or yet that tear down that foundation of confidence, then when you go out into the world, it's going to also show that you lack that foundation of confidence, and that you can pretend. You can pretend, and a lot of people do that. I've done that, but ultimately you will get tired of that, and ultimately you're either going to have to figure out how to really build confidence and now rely on that solid foundation, or you will find yourself very frustrated with having to pretend every single day. If you are ready to stop performing and build real trust with yourself, then this next episode is going to help you do just that.